welcome to The Sage and the Seeker. Thanks for joining us as each week we explore a new topic to help us personally evolve, gain spiritual insight, and transform our lives. This is where ancient wisdom meets modern life. And I'm Antonia Dax, and my co host Sung and I are here to share, to question, to laugh, and to learn. And we're inviting you to join with us to see the world and yourself in a whole new way. So, Sung, hello.
Good to see you again, Tonya.
Yeah. I'm really excited about today's topic. And today we are looking at how to transform your life with empathy. That empathy is not just about emotions, that it's energy, and that we need to learn how to use it to help us. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think empathy, although by definition looks into other people and try to build that resonance between the two. But I think empathy always start with self-love. You take care of yourself first. You have empathy with your own suffering, and then you can extend that love to the other people. I think that's the beautiful start.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. I think that there's so much has been written and people tend to understand empathy as an emotional thing that we are affected by. But I don't think I've heard anybody talk about it in the way I hope we're going to do today, because I think it's really, I've recently kind of been working with this, that I'm seeing it as a tool that we can use to help create the life that we really want to have. And that it's not just about sensing emotions, it's about sensing energies. And of course, emotions are energies too, right? But we're doing it all the time, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't think people know it. I don't think people are aware. I know I haven't been aware, and I've been trying to be very aware. I've been paying attention to empathy things for a long time, but I think that we're so affected by other people and we don't even realize it. We think it's us, it's coming from ourselves.
Mhm.
And it changes everything if we can understand how, I don't know, like our behavior, for example, is affected by all these interplays of energies between people.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and I think the more you are self-aware, the more you know what is yours and what is the other people's. Um, but on the other hand, I also believe um, you can always see fragments of yourself scattered around the world incarnated in other people's mind. So when you see
Hmm.
something as yours, while seeing another person, it could be that that person's energy is affecting and interacting with your own, and then it generates some kind of resonance, whether it's good or bad.
Okay, wait, talk more about that. What do you mean exactly by parts of your self scattered around the world and other people?
I guess what I'm trying to say is, although each of us is unique, there are some commonalities around our human journey, around our suffering, around our joy, and seeing other people happy or sad is another way to recognize the happiness and sadness within yourself.
So these shared human emotions that help
Not,
us
not
feel
not
more.
necessarily just emotions, but probably another idea, another action. I would call it inspiration.
Okay. It's like that. They have a name for it. This where like people will have the same idea for some new technology or some new product or something, and it pops up like at the same time all over the world.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're talking about? That's a cool thing. That's a really cool phenomenon. Yeah.
Yeah, and also it's about, you have an idea and then you realize, oh, this is a trendy idea. Everyone is talking about that.
hmm hmm Yeah. Or something comes out, some product comes out, and you go, my God, I thought about making something like this like 5 years ago. Yeah, but you didn't do it, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
never too late.
yeah. I think also we have we have sort of never learned to pay attention to this kind of thing, right? That we don't we talked about in our last video, somewhat about this too, that we just as a society, we have not learned how to pay attention to our emotions, where they're coming from, why we're feeling what we're feeling, what to do with them, right? Like, what's the purpose of having emotions? I mean, have you ever talked about that with like, your parents or something? I don't think so. I know I didn't.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, for me, I feel emotions can be experienced as navigation tools. Um,
mhm.
whether you're happy or sad, the emotion is strong or light. It's an indicator of, I guess, how much you care about this event, this person, this subject.
Right.
It's also an
And
indicator
and
of
yourself
where
is,
your
yeah,
shadow and your brilliance lie.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it tells you where it hurts, where is your limit, where is your strength, and then use all
hmm
those information, you can make better choices.
Yeah, see, I think that's what we really need to talk about today because the emotions are just energy too. I don't say just energy, but they are energy too, right? Everything is energy when it comes down to it. And as part of our energy that we are creating or amplifying or sharing or whatever, right? And I think if we learn how to use that, how to recognize it and how to use it to to benefit us,
Hmm.
I think that's kind of like magical. That's where we get into this sort of like, you where you can really change your life and make it better for everybody, not just for yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I have a story. I told you at least part of this story before, so you're familiar with it. But this is kind of what how synchronicities happen. Things kind of happen. They show up when they're supposed to show up, and this is one of those that really sparked this conversation and choice of topic for today.
Hmm.
So it's my checkout line story that I want to tell.
Hmm. Please.
Okay. Okay. So a few weeks ago, I was at the grocery store at the checkout line, and I am very cool with the checkout line. I know in the past, years ago, I used to be like, I'd get kind of flustered or whatever, people have taken too long in front of me, or how long is this going to take and whatever. I haven't done that in decades, but I know people still kind of do. There's something about being in the checkout line.
Hmm.
Anyways, there was one woman in front of me. Her stuff, I think, was almost all bagged already, and she was getting ready to pay. But there was something going on there. I couldn't hear, but there was something going on there. She was definitely frustrated and confused. That I could tell. And the bagger was also frustrated and confused, like picking up on her. whatever was going on with her. And they're digging through bags and they're like, I don't know what they're looking for, but they're like going like, and she's like, oh, I don't know what I saw. And she's like, and the cashier was also getting pulled into this. She could tell she didn't want to be, but she was also getting pulled into it. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on up there. This is something's going on, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I started feeling this feeling come over me. It like came into me. And I was like, why? And now I'm feeling kind of like I'm a little frustrated by this. Like, what's going on with this woman? What's going on up there? She's holding things up, right? And as soon as I got that little irky feeling,
Mm-hmm.
I recognized it because I'm not usually like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why am I getting impatient? Is what it was. Right? I was getting impatient. Why am I getting impatient? It's not a big deal. I haven't been here that long. I'm in no hurry. Whatever. Life is fine. Right? Why am I doing this? But it started to grow, this feeling. And I was like, okay, no, 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 this is not good for me. And I was being mindful and I recognized it and I'm like, you know what? No. And I I let it go consciously and I tap into what I call my master vibe, which is my core vibration where everything is good. Everything's fine. There's nothing wrong. I'm happy and I'm okay and everything's okay, right? And I tapped into that and I was like, everything's fine. Why am I? There's no need to be upset. Everything's fine. I'm at the grocery store. I'm getting my groceries. Everything's good. And so I shifted. I shifted out of that impatient, frustrated thing. And as I did, and I was just let it go, everything's good. The woman who was so frustrated and confused all of a sudden looked up and shook her head. And she was like, oh, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. What am I doing? And and the bagger was like, oh, okay. And he backed off. And the cashier was like, okay. And she goes back to the register. And then the woman turned back and looked at me and she says, oh, I've been holding up the line. And she's like, it's okay. And she paid and she left. Right. And I was like, I realized after I paid, I took care of all that. And as I was leaving, I realized my energy affected this woman. There was all this frustration, right? That I picked up on that everyone was picking up on. But as soon as I was like, everything's okay, she was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've experienced that phenomena before, but never so quickly, never so obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It was always much more of a subtle shift. And
Mm-hmm.
this time it was really quite obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And it really made me realize that, we are always doing this. We are affecting other people by our energies. And what if we just chose to live that way all the time in
Mm-hmm.
awareness of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Letting our positive high energies influence what's
Mm-hmm.
happening around us,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I know you've heard this, but after I shared my story with you,
Mm-hmm.
and it kept like revealing itself to me, I realized that the reason I initially started to feel impatient was because it was her energy I was feeling. It wasn't even my own.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was my own. I thought it was my impatience,
Mm-hmm.
right? And my frustration, but it wasn't because that wasn't me. I knew that wasn't me. I don't do that. So
Mm-hmm.
why was I? Because I
Mm-hmm.
was picking up on her frustration too,
Mm-hmm.
just like the bagger and the cashier. And right, I was like, I don't even know why I'm feeling this way, but I'm feeling this way, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's so important that we become aware that we are affecting other people's energies and their energies are affecting ours. And we may think it's our own and not even recognize. Yeah, it's not.
So, in the line of teaching I follow, they talk about we human have seven main energy centers. Obviously, it corresponds to the seven chakra system if
Yeah.
you're familiar.
Yeah.
And three of them, one of them is an instinct center, which is basically the root chakra. It stores all the information, sometimes your past life information or your history in this life, um, in the root chakra. And the other six energy centers are either emotionally related, moving energy related. You can think of moving energy as like things that's physical, that's
Mm.
creative. And the third one is intellectually related centers. And I think when we're younger, maybe before we even turn three, we develop the center that we associated more with to interpret and interact with the world. Um, so some people are more intellectually centered. If they're more intellectually centered, they first see the problem, see the world, see the human, see the event as thoughts. Mhm. They get the truth from the event or the person. And this there's nothing good or bad, you know. On the flip side, you can say that they also tend to be a little bit more judgmental.
Hmm.
And other people tend to use emotional center more when they are interact with the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this we're talking about people who um, feel things first or feel the emotional energy first. So I don't want to generalize this, but typically people might think people from certain culture are more likely to be emotional centered, or some others are more intellectually centered. And
Hmm.
and maybe some people might think men are more intellectually centered and women are more emotional centered, but it's not absolute. It has more to
All
do
right. Right. Yeah. There's a lot of
how
crossover.
you were brought up when you're younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then yet there are also a lot of people who are more moving center. I think when I talk about people who are more moving center, I think mostly I'm talking about people who uh, tend to act on things. They feel the raw energy and they feel the desire to act.
Or
So
kinesthetic.
yes, kinesthetic. They feel
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
kinesthetic energy first.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
yes, I think the reason why you pick up their emotion so fast, I suspect your emotional centered personality, which
That's interesting. That's
I
really interesting that you think so. Okay.
um and I think it's very important to have some kind of understanding of which energy is yours and which energy is the other person's,
Hmm.
and be able to differentiate
Yes.
whether this
Yes.
is the reflection of the other person inside of you or it is truly yours. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, emotions are if infectious, so
They are.
it is
And
hard to say this is absolutely yours and this is absolutely mine.
yeah, it's hard. And I was laughing when you said that. You think I'm the emotional one because I have always been an intellectual one. It's
Mhm,
always been the mental thing for me.
mhm,
Um, at least that's what I thought through
mhm,
most of my life.
mhm,
But once I started on my path,
mhm,
that began to change. And I started to recognize that I've always had that emotional
mhm,
energy, sensory capability, but I never valued it
mhm,
and I never paid attention to it. Right. So for me, this kind of thing, like being aware of it, is like confirmation in a way, right? That there's this whole part of me, there's this whole aspect, this skill or innate gift that I have that I hadn't really used much in my life. So these things like are revelatory to me. I love it when this kind of thing happens, right? I'm learning so much about how to perceive the world and
Mhm.
how to move in this world and be in this world in the best way that I can possibly be. And I think that's what we're all trying to do, right? Is to find how can I be my best self in this world? And and I think big part of it, and I think a lot of people are like me, right? That they don't pay attention to these things. They don't know that it's actually happening.
Mhm.
We're taught in this culture, in Western culture especially, to be, it's all up here. This is where I live, right? I'm my mind,
Mhm.
and that's what we're taught. But we're so much more than that. We have a mind, but that's not who we are.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I really want to kind of look in today to talk about, like you were saying, how do we recognize when it's my energy or not my energy?
Mhm.
I think that's where we need to start. But I think also, maybe even more importantly, to look at how do we use this to create what we want in life. If I'm affecting you, if I can do that consciously, like with a purpose, right? With love and compassion and all that, and high energies, then can change my life, right? If I can recognize that your energies, I don't have to pick up on them. I can recognize them, but I don't have to make them my own or believe that they're my own. If I can do that, then I can protect myself in a lot of ways, right? That maybe I haven't been before. So those are, I think, the kind of things I wanted to explore today. What do you think?
Let's dive in.
Yeah? Okay. All right. So um how can we be aware of what's our energy and what's not? Let's talk about that.
Mm, I would say from a lot of the spiritual practice, um, it emphasizes starting from yourself, meaning you just sit with yourself and meditate and experience what's your energy and observe what's arising in your mind, in your body, and in your heart, and but
Mm-hmm.
familiar with it. Then you know, hey, this energy is mine. And then when it mingles with another energy, you know that, oh, I'm taking on another energy that's not mine. So I would say it
Mm-hmm.
always starts with meditation and really be friends with yourself and sit with yourself in.
I like that. I like that part, especially because knowing what's you and what's not you. We tend to, I think, externalize ourselves, like we're out there all the time. Our awareness is out there all the time
Mhm.
and not in here, right? And so we have trouble, I think, differentiating between where
Mhm.
am I, what's me,
Mhm.
right? Because I'm here and I'm there and I'm in the future and I'm in the past, right? And if we're, especially if we're identifying with ourselves as our minds and our brains, then we're all over the place all the time. So coming back to this is me. What's my energy? What are my feelings? What are my emotions? What are my truths? I
Mhm.
think that's the best place to start. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot of intentional effort because in our busy modern life, everyone is feeling the stress, the anxiety, and we just felt that we are
Mm.
constantly running out of time, so we have no time for ourselves. And when we don't have our self-seating time, then we don't know what is ours and what is others, and what is important to us and what is not. So I think eventually it also requires some intentional effort to
Yeah,
be okay, just be with yourself, doing nothing, observe. Even if it's just for 5 minutes a day, it will help tremendously.
yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's unfortunate that that kind of busy lifestyle that you were describing, it just engenders more of the same. It just kind of makes you more out there.
Mhm.
And then I think this is kind of getting maybe a little off track, but I think this is why so many people today are suffering from anxiety and depression because we're so out there that we don't know who we are anymore at all. And when you don't know who you are, you feel so lost, right? I've been there. I've been there. And you feel so lost that it's hard to like keep yourself going in all these directions that life is pulling you in, right? But the thing is, you don't have to be that way. You
Mhm.
don't have to approach life that way at all.
Mhm.
And and I think this is what I'm getting at here with this anyways today, that if we have a different approach, if we can take a different approach,
Mhm.
then all that stuff going on in life tends to kind of just trickles down and calms down and
Mhm.
becomes more manageable. And
Yeah.
at least you feel like you can have some sense of who you are in all of it, and that you have a choice. I think that's what I was looking for. You have this choice,
Mhm.
right, about how you are going to go through life.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I also feel the collective anxiety is creating a tornado, and then
Yeah.
we just allow ourselves to be part of the tornado and think about it. If everyone just have a little bit of intention of to be with themselves and to sit still and be at center, I think the tornado will soon calm down, just like what happened in your story. Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I really believe that we can transform our inner reality, right? If we transform our inner realities, then we we bring awareness first of all to our own energies, right? And we start to be aware that our energies are affecting other people.
Mhm.
And so what if you chose the energy for yourself?
Yeah.
Not frustration, not feeling rushed, not pressured or whatever you're feeling, angry or confused or whatever it might be, but you choose. You choose something positive. You say, I want to look at life in a positive way. That's not so easy. It sounds it's simple, but it's not so easy, maybe. But if you had positive thoughts, if you had positive emotions, if you held positive expectations about your day or
Mhm.
about your week or about your year,
Mhm.
right? That's going to change your attitude about any situation that you're in,
Mhm.
right? And imagine how that would change your life in general if you like took that awareness that your energy levels and um your perspective about life, it was positive. It would just change everything about the way you saw yourself, your world, right? And that, I think that's what creates. That's a creative approach to life rather than a reactive approach to life, right? That's like bringing what you want to
Hmm.
the to everything,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that changes what's happening around you because when you change your inner reality, then you affect what others are experiencing around you as well. Like the woman at the grocery store, right? I had an effect on her. I wasn't intending to, but I did.
Miss Tony, I heard you also brought in exercise for us to practice mindfulness today.
I
I
did.
can't
I
wait to
did.
start doing it.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Before we do that, I want to I think there's a couple things that we should probably talk about first.
Hmm.
So, um, if because I think we have to be clear about this. If we are becoming aware that like I am affecting other people's energies around me,
Yes.
there's a responsibility there. And I think we have to recognize that um we that doesn't mean we're controlling anything, right? We cannot control what other people are going to do, how
Right.
they're going to react or respond, how they're going to be affected by it, right? Because everybody's coming from a different circumstance with different background, with a different mood and attitude and whatever. And I mean, have you ever been in a situation where like, somebody's really angry or something, like, and they're like, and you're like coming in, you go, hey, that's all cool, man. And that just makes them angrier.
It
You ever
could.
been in that?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because your positive energy is like a slap in the face to them or something, right? It's like they just don't know what to do with it, or they get confused, or they. So we don't know how people are going to respond to what you bring a positive thing. So we can't assume anything about this. All we can do is say, "Hey, here's what I'm bringing," and
Mm-hmm.
whatever happens, happens,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I love how you said it affects other, like the whole world. It lifts everything up, even if we come just with a little extra positivity,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
That we're affecting the collective energies as well,
Mm.
and that makes the world a better place too.
Yeah.
So I like, yeah, yeah. Okay, so putting this into practice then, and this is where I kind of had this little activity I thought we could all do as this sort of a meditative, mindful activity.
Hmm.
Um, and So let's like kind of recap a little bit, and then it'll lead right into it. Unless there's something you wanted to
Oh, I'm
add.
very excited for your exercise today. Hmm.
Okay,
This
good,
will be the
good.
first time I've seen it.
Yeah. And I actually just kind of fine-tuned it today. It's kind of a new one. So, um, okay, so the idea is where do we start? So if you're in some situation, let's say, where the energies are not what you would prefer them to be, the first thing you do is discern, is this my energy or not? Right? What am I picking up on? Is it mine? And do I want it or not? Right? I think that's kind of where we have to start. And if the you're picking, if all of a sudden you're emotional and you're like, you know what, this is, maybe it's real, it's my emotions and I can accept that, but maybe it's not initiated by me. Maybe I picked it up from somebody else, then it's not your authentic emotion. And maybe then you need to think, well, is this appropriate? Should I, is it appropriate for this situation to be feeling this way? Do I want to feel this way? Is it helping me in any way? Is it serving me? I always use that phrase, is this serving me for everything that I'm trying to decide? Is this serving me in some way? So I think that's the second thing, right? You understand, is it mine or somebody else's? And then is this serving me? Is it appropriate? And then you need to decide, well, what is appropriate?
Mhm.
How do I choose to feel? Then you make the choice, right? How do I choose to feel? And this is where the this activity comes in, because it's about choosing your feeling that you want to have. And if we're I'm just obvious, I'm going to say it anyways. If we want to be our best selves, then that feeling has to be based in love, right? It's got to be love, joy, compassion,
Mhm. I
right? It's got to come from there.
So Miss Sonia, I have a little bit of different perspective on this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's hear it.
Like I mentioned earlier, I feel things like emotions, or even physical feelings, they are navigation tools. They
Hmm.
tells us what's important to us, what we care and who we care. Um, I think the things that we can choose is our response. Our response in our action, our words, um, our, I guess, thinking pattern related to this story. What story do we want to tell us? And
Hmm.
how do we decide to move forward? I personally don't think we choose what we feel. We observe what we feel and use that observation to inform our response. What do you think?
I think we're kind of on the same page. Um, what maybe I wasn't okay. Here's what I was thinking, is that if you are picking up emotions that aren't yours,
Mhm,
that are not helpful to you or
mhm,
the situation,
mhm,
that are not going to serve you,
mhm,
you don't have to hold on to those,
mhm. Obviously,
right?
we have to hold on to those.
You don't have to hold on to those. And I think, and that's what I'm kind of focusing on here, is that if it's not mine,
Mhm,
if it's not serving me, even if it is mine, I do this sometimes too. We get into these funks, our brains start doing weird things, it causes emotions, and I'm like, why am I doing this? This is not what I want for my life. This isn't what I choose. And I will recognize it and honor it. I'm not saying that emotions shouldn't be recognized or respected, because I agree with you, they're a tool for us,
mhm.
but we also don't have to be controlled by them.
Mhm.
Just like I don't, right? I
If
believe
you're
like
talking
it's with our
about
thoughts.
I think you talk about a concept in Buddhism that's called equanimity. So yes,
Hmm.
I feel I'm hurt. I feel I'm bothered. I feel I'm bothered, or I feel I'm anxious. But I decide I don't need to be bothered by it. So
Yes,
yeah, I think
yes,
you're talking about that
yes. This is
that
this
state.
isn't this isn't how
Yeah.
I choose to move through
Yes.
life, or to get through this moment. Or I believe that we come as into this world as the solution,
Hmm.
and but we have to find how we can be that solution, because
Hmm.
it's not a natural thing for us to do that. And I think that's part of it, right? Is like recognizing what is the solution in this moment.
Hmm.
Whatever, if you're in some situation that's difficult, or where somebody is emotional, that you don't want to be that way, or you're finding yourself reacting in a way that you're like, this isn't serving me right now. That's what I'm kind of looking at here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. I think I just differentiate feelings from response, including deciding what is it
Uh-huh.
you.
Uh-huh. And you know what? And to be clear, I think of in this case, I think of feelings as energies, and and we want to be in. I want to be in a high energy state, in a positive, helpful
Mhm,
flow state,
mhm,
as much as I can, as much as it's appropriate. And so that the vibrations of those energies are um, are what I'm looking at here. That these are the things that people are picking up on, right? If you walk into a room, we've all done this. We've walked into a room where there's some bunch of people, and you just immediately know, oh, something's been going on.
mhm,
How do you know? It's the energy, right? There's an energy in that room that we can sense. Um, and so this activity that I've got is to help you choose that energy. Is
mhm,
to help you say, this is the energy that's me. Like you were talking about when you meditate and you find yourself, right? This is like, this is me. This is good. This is always good,
mhm,
right? And to let that energy then be what guides you and guides your responses.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think what I have been trying to emphasize is that we live in a world where we have a spectrum of experience, a spectrum of emotions, including the
Mm,
highs and the lows, and
mhm.
all of them are equally valuable. Um,
Yeah,
Instead of choosing, like say, I only want this kind of emotion, I only want this kind of
right. Yeah, I don't think that's healthy.
experience, is removing yourself from some of the very helpful, very healthy in a way, human activities and spectrum of emotions. So
Mm.
I think I'm trying to emphasize that
I think that's
to
important. Yeah.
have some compassion about all the spectrum of experience and all the spectrum of emotion.
Yes. I think
And
that's
you
definitely
can
important.
still, after all those highs and lows, you can
Also,
still
you can.
feel, oh, it's great. Life is great. I'm still in a
Yeah.
state of equanimity,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
And
I
like
think
that's why I
that's
say I
good.
like to look at things like what's appropriate for this situation and what's serving me in this situation, and because we do have this whole wide range of emotions to choose from, right? And so you choose what's right in any given situation. But I think it always has to come from that place that is based in love, right? That everything's
Mhm,
okay.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So with that, are you ready to do the activity?
Yeah, it took us a detour.
We did, but that's okay. Oh, I think it was necessary. Okay. So it is a bit of a mindfulness, kind of a closed eye activity. So let's get comfortable, and it's just maybe 5 minutes or so. And let's be quiet and close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. And we're going to want to pay attention to our breath throughout this activity. So breathe deeply, deep in your belly, deep belly breaths in and out. And we're going to start by just for a very short moment to think of a time when you were feeling some discordant emotion, something you didn't want to feel, right? Nothing too big. And put yourself back in that circumstance just for a minute here to recognize maybe you were frustrated, maybe you were angry, maybe you were impatient, or whatever it might have been. And pick up that feeling. I want you to feel it. And once you've got it, I want you to pay attention to where in your body it is. Just locate it. Maybe it spreads around. Just kind of get a feel for where this is. And then recognize that this is the feeling that you chose not to have. Okay. So I want you to say, you can say it quietly to yourself in your head or out loud. This feeling doesn't serve me. This feeling doesn't serve me. I choose to let it go. And take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let that energy just disappear. Let it leave you and say, I release it. I release it. And instead, I choose to feel love and light. I choose to feel joy and peace. And let those emotions now bubble up inside you. I feel love and light, joy and peace. Once you start to feel that, even if it's a little tiny bit, where is it? Where is it in your body? Find it, recognize it, latch onto it, and breathe into that space. And say, I choose this feeling. I choose this energy. Keep breathing into it. Let it expand. Let it spread. I choose this energy. I choose to feel it throughout my entire body. Now breathe it in through your whole body until it's everywhere. Light, love, joy, peace. And now breathe it so that it breathes into every cell of your body. And say the words, I choose to be love and joy. I choose to be love, light, and peace. I choose every cell in my body to be filled with light and love and joy and peace. And keep breathing into it and expand it even further. And it's so strong now that it's shining out of your skin. And say these words, I share this wonderful energy with everyone around me. I send it out to the whole world. Breathe it out. It's shining so brightly now. Love, light, joy, and peace for everyone around you, for everyone in the world. And breathe in that love yourself. Breathe in that light yourself. Bring it back into your body. Well, you can leave it out there. You come back into your body. Hold that energy and say these words. I choose to live in this energy. As I move out of this situation and I go about my day, I choose to live in this energy. Take a deep breath and hold on to that sense of that feeling of that. As you go ahead and wake up, open your eyes. Well, hopefully, we're in sleep. Open your eyes. Come back.
Very powerful. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome. I'd love to know what all of you thought about this. If you had any kind of um, insights or experiences during that activity, put it in the comments below. Would love to see and read each one to see what you thought of that. If it was meaningful for you, if it changed anything, if you had any kind of insights or awareness, put it in the comments.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a very powerful reminder that our inner resources are abundant and
Yeah.
our wisdom is limitless. Um, Doing exercise like this will help us to reconnect with that abundance and trust um, and the wisdom. Then you
Mhm.
can choose the best action moving forward.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it brings a confidence because of that too, that we know that we can tap into that energy because we choose to,
Mhm, mhm,
whenever we choose to,
mhm.
right? That it's there for us all the time if we
Um,
just do it.
I do want to make a comment. I feel people obviously are in different part of their own journey, and
Mm,
there are times when the situation needs more attention, then you might need to focus a little bit more on self-care and acceptance and rest. And maybe for people who are in those stage, it might be a little bit hard to directly choose choose the light, choose the love.
hmm.
Because it doesn't come naturally when you still have trauma and hurt feelings to process.
That's
Um,
true.
I think you should always give yourself the patience and grace to honor your own process. Take your own time. If during this exercise you find it difficult to follow through, or you feel there's strong resistance to some of the messages, I think it's okay to tell yourself that I honor my own journey. I accept that I'm not there yet, but I still trust that one day I can be living in love, living in trust, and living in the beauty that is in our own inner world.
That's really thoughtful of you to say that. That's very true.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean there have been plenty of times in my life where there was no way I could have just pulled up
Mhm.
such feelings so easily, or at all, maybe at times.
It's
But
all a
but
process. That's why we are here
it's a
because
process, yeah.
yeah,
And
we want.
and that's why I like that we you began with the concept that it's so important to sit and to meditate and to find yourself. And I think that's exactly where you need to start.
Mhm,
um, and the rest does follow. But if nothing else, I think if you're aware that you can change and you can choose, even if you're having trouble doing it,
mhm,
right? That something you can pull up something, some other emotion, some other energy than what you were in, right? You can shift it to something,
mhm,
and that we do have that capability, even if it feels like we don't.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah. So good. All right. So I think one little thing we need to talk about then after all of this is if we start to become aware that we have this ability, this empathic ability to sense energies, to sense emotions, and that we can use them to to change our life for the better.
mhm,
What kind of results can we expect if we do this?
mhm. What do you think?
Well, I think that, and this kind of builds off of what you said. I think that you can know that you've made some change, even if it doesn't seem like it.
Hmm.
That just by trying, just by putting some conscious awareness into it, that you're making a change for the better. I think that's one result that's
Hmm.
you can just count on, even if it doesn't seem like something's happening.
You brought up an excellent point. I think growing up, we're trained to seek for proof,
Yeah.
seek for external validation. So our mind is telling us that how come we haven't seen results yet? I don't trust
Mhm.
myself unless I see
Mhm.
results. But the trick is actually it works the reverse. You need to trust yourself that change will happen. It will just take its time and place to manifest.
Yeah.
You can bring that energy into yourself to change, to evolve from where you are. Instead of seeking external validation, it always starts from inside.
Yes, yes. And because I think we do expect to have those results. But if we don't, if we if we just stay in ourselves, right, and pay attention to our energy and be responsible for what we can control and all of that. We did look at before how that changes your inner world. And if you're changing your inner world, then the way you see the outer world changes. Even if things don't seem different out there, you will see them differently.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
know, you stop expecting for all of that to change, but
mhm,
you do the change within yourself.
mhm,
And then you just allow, I think, the universe to do its thing, right? That you've done your part, and what's going to happen out there is going to happen out there
mhm,
because life always flows as it's going to flow.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, in addition to what you just mentioned, that you will observe changes around you, what's more important is you are telling your subconscious self that I want to bring this energy. And your
mhm.
both your consciousness and subconsciousness will try their best to embody that energy, embody
Yes.
change. I think embodiment is the hardest part. Um, but you have to make an active decision to
Hmm.
start to shift. Um,
Hmm. And it is a subconscious thing. Always an inside job. It's a subconscious thing that you've got to kind of retrain all of that.
mhm,
And I think that if you do that on a consistent basis,
mhm,
then you do become less influenced by other people,
mhm,
right? And by the energies of circumstances and the things that are happening in the world that are way beyond your control. It don't affect you quite as much,
mhm,
right? And you're able to then function so much better in
mhm,
your life and in the world because you're not so affected
mhm,
by all these external things. You
mhm,
become lighter, your world becomes lighter,
mhm,
and you start to realize that you can manage.
mhm,
If you are at one of these places where you're not yet able to sort of pull up, the positive energies or whatever, you will start to notice it if you keep being aware,
mhm.
right? That things get lighter. You can start to trust yourself
Yeah.
that things do get better.
Mhm,
The more you just continue to be aware of your place, who you are, and your place in the world.
mhm, mhm. And remember last time we talked about the topic of stop fixing and start creating. I think that's exactly where creativity can shine. When you
Yeah,
change, when you
yeah,
see that change, you start to create. You don't become so passive and waiting things to be changed for you. You are the
that's
change.
right.
You
You
start.
are that. You bring the change. Yeah, yeah, and then your outer world, the people in it, eventually will start to reflect your
Mhm.
inner state. It can't help but, right? Life becomes sort of an adventure. It's like you're looking at the world in a different way, and the world is responding to you because of that.
Mhm.
Um, and everything just starts to be much more, like you said,
The
uh, your creation,
Mhm.
right? Rather than this obstacle course that you have to constantly bump up against things and be reactive to things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So, any last words? I think we're about out of time.
Time flies.
It does. Oh, I know.
Mm, I just want to share this love and joy I felt at this moment with everyone. No
Mhm.
matter where you are, which part of journey you are experiencing, um, trust that you are not alone and you
Yeah.
always have support from your own resources and support from your community and support from people like us who care about you. So hang in
Mhm.
there no matter where you are in your journey, and you will never walk the journey alone.
Yeah. There is another better way.
Mhm.
There's a better way. Yeah. And if you're here listening to this, then you're already finding it. So thank you so much for joining us today on The Sage and the Seeker. We're so glad that you were here with us. And if there's anything in today's conversation that sparked something in you, please put it in the comments, share your insights. We'd love to read them. And drop a question if you have a question
Mhm.
or an idea for something you would like to hear us talk about for our next session. We are doing weekly uploads. So don't forget to subscribe. If you did find anything useful, give us a like
Mhm.
and keep walking this path with us. We're so happy to have you along on our journey.
Mhm.
And remember that the answers aren't out there, they're within, and that every step you take does matter.
Yes.
So until next time, be the sage, be the seeker, and be transformed.